You are now listening to the Brothers and Lovers Podcast. Welcome. Come on. Stand up, rise up, rise. What you gonna do about it? Get your mind up. How you gonna move about it? Get your shoulders right. And you get right to it, and we unite. Cause they gonna fight.
Shall I stand by my brother's side? If he wrong, I should tell him why. Enter battle, we shall ride. Let the world feel our battle cry.
Stand up, rise up, rise. What you gonna do about it? Get your mind up. How you gonna move about it? Get your shoulders right. And you get right to it, and we unite. Cause they gonna fight. Stand up, rise up. What you gonna do about it? Get your mind up. How you gonna move about it? Get your shoulders right. And you get right to it, and we unite.
Yes. Welcome. I go by the name Off City. I would like to welcome you to Brothers and Lovers Podcast, episode 25. Where I ask my panel of brothers to bring their love for their children, our love for our families, and our love for our communities. Mix it with some passion, sprinkle some facts in the uncomfortable conversations, right? Red man down, let's salute Brother Harford. He's not here tonight. But on my panel, I got my brother, Larry.
Yo. Listen, man, it's been a long time. I feel like forever. But I'm back. I'm back in the building. Let's get it. You already know why I'm here. I'm doing it for the culture. I'm doing it for my people. King Noah, Elijah, I love you. It's for you. Salute.
Yes. All right, and I also got my brother, Ron.
What's going on, man? Listen, I'm kind of excited. I see Larry coming out. He got on the hoodie joint. He looking like Adonis Creed or something like that. You're
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. You heard me?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just say it's good to be here and leave it at that, man. Let's get it on.
All right. What I want to bring to the panel with my brothers tonight, I want to ask y'all about cancel culture. Like we talked about this a little bit in the episode. Where Ron was holding it down. What was the episode about? I forgot the episode. It's in my mind.
Well, we talked about Kyrie Irving. We was talking about Kanye West and everything of that nature. You know, it's free speech. Is there such a thing as free speech?
Yeah, there was such thing as free speech. Absolutely, yes. That's what we were speaking about. Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about we touched on the cancel culture. I want to really go a little bit in depth on cancel culture and what cancel culture is, and to understand the cancel culture. All right. Well, let's first get into this. All right. What do you think about cancel culture? Let's start with you, brother.
What do I think about cancel culture? So, when I think about cancel culture, I think about who's cutting the check, who's the determining factor. So when we talk about culture, right, you think about the origin of the culture. So if the ones who started the culture aren't the ones canceling the culture, then we're basically distributing the power to those who feel like they just have an opinion on whatever that culture particularly is. So we're speaking, if I'm thinking about what you're talking about, and no one's naive. We're not oblivious. We see the news. You got social media. You see it. Anything that anyone doesn't like at this particular time, they can petition against and say, I don't like that. Or that's offensive. Or that's egregious. That is an attack on this particular person, people, creed, race. I feel like we have gotten away from the idea of what freedom actually means for an individual. When I think about cancel culture, because you don't like it, doesn't necessarily free you up to say it shouldn't be. I think the world is made up of differences. That's what makes the world go round. What's different from me, what's different from you, and then where we can find our similarities and where they link. So in a nutshell, my idea of cancel culture, I believe it might have started off with good intention. And I'm saying this as naive and ignorant as I could possibly be. It could have been created to give the voiceless a voice, to speak to a maybe an anxiety or fear that they have, something that they wouldn't have normally, a realm they wouldn't have normally stepped into, a stage they wouldn't have normally stepped onto to speak up for themselves. And then in doing so, it gave a voice to cowards. It gave a voice to cowards and people who have absolutely nothing to do better than themselves but fuel hate, disagreement, and cesspool and toxicity. And with that, I yield.
Okay. Brother Ron, what about you?
You know, the thing I have a problem with is the hypocrisy. If there was one standard, when if someone did something that was offensive and they would be treated a certain way, I wouldn't have as much difficulty with it. But the problem I have is it's not that people are offended, which automatically triggers a certain response. Is by and large determined by who you offend. If you offend a certain segment, then you're subject to being basically a victim of this cancel culture. But you can be offensive to certain people and nothing happens. And I've seen a shift. I'm old enough to have seen a shift in who you can offend. I saw Eddie Murphy talking, and if you ever watch some of his earlier stand-up stuff, when he was saying things about gays, and it was deemed, it was clearly offensive, but it was seen as, okay, that's he's just poking fun at somebody. He's making a joke. It's a joke. It's not to be taken serious. But I heard him even say some of those same jokes today, he would be blackballed. He would be, he would basically be ostracized because you can no longer say anything remotely offensive to that segment of the population. And then there are certain, I'm concerned because I'm a black man. I see things that are said about black people all the time, and it takes a whole lot for folks to become outraged and try to do something about it. So to me, that's the biggest issue that I have is there's no uniformity. There's no bottom set of rules as far as if you just offend, then you're treading on thin ice. It just matters who you offend. And until we do something about that, I'm just not feeling this whole thing, to be honest with you.
Okay. Question. So, all right, we talk about when it started. When did cancel culture start? Because we just got into an example of if Eddie Murphy old jokes, it would have been okay, and now he would have been canceled. So when did the cancel culture actually start? Like, can y'all remember?
That's a really good question, City. That's a really good question. And I think that kind of goes into what Brother Ron is talking about. That's a really good question. And I got one really good answer. The skin that you live in, never gonna know. The skin that we live in, never gonna know. Because if cancel culture is a real living, breathing thing, then there's a ton of things that should have been canceled a long time ago, my man. Long time ago. Just from me being black, culture should have been canceled. Long time ago. You're never gonna find out who started it. Because there is no, how like a race, there's a start line when everybody line up before they let the gun off. Then this, everybody get in position. Then you get ready. And then you stand up and then you just shoot off. That don't exist for us, man. You're not going to find out where it started. Where it started is who got first. And if you tie it back to who got first, I guarantee the first person that got looked like us. That person looked like us. He, she, it, them, they, you, me, her, he. You call them what you want. It started with somebody that looked like us. That's when the cancel culture started. It started, for me, cancel culture started when the power shifted, when the popularity shifted, when the money shifted. That's when it fell off. That's when cancel culture started. When, I got an answer for you. I thought I wouldn't have an answer for you. Brother Ron, I'm going to let you go right after I say this. You know when cancel culture started? When we became the culture. That's when it started. When we became the identity of the culture. When the culture started to look like everything we do, everything that's beneficial to us, everything we can dominate, everything we can touch, everything we can succeed at. That's when it looked like, that's when it started. And then, just like anything, it's got to sprinkle and spread to everything else, because you can't just make it look like an isolated incident. It has to be inclusion, diversity, and inclusion. But that's not where it started. It started with us. If you want an answer, it started with us. That's my answer. Cancel culture started when we started looking like we couldn't get canceled. And with that, I yield.
For me personally, when this whole thing that we know is cancel culture, to me, it started when the folks with money and power were able to push their agenda and let it be known what was important to them. Because if you think about right now in this world that we live in, let's just talk about some of the groups that if you say anything about, you are subject to being basically ostracized and removed from the entertainment world, from business, anything. And let's just talk about what I had mentioned earlier when we talked about the gays and the lesbians and stuff. I have nothing against anybody who lives that type of lifestyle. If that's what they want to do, God bless them. I don't have any issues with it. But what has happened, in my opinion, there are people with power, with money, who became a part of that lifestyle and were no longer and felt empowered to let the world know that that's what they do. That's what they're part of that world, that society. And if you say something that they deemed as offensive, then they were going to make sure you didn't work again. And that's, to me, that's when the whole cancel culture started. We started taking flight. And the bottom line is, we as Black folk still don't have the employable resources to dictate who works and who does not, to the same extent as those in the lesbian and gay communities. Those are some of the producers. Those are some of the people who have the resources that can say, if you say something offensive to me, you're not going to work anymore. You're not going to. If I find it offensive, you're not going to work anymore. And that's what we're seeing. That segment. If you say something against them, you're gone. On the flip side, y'all remember Don Imus? Don Imus called a group of young ladies nappy-headed hoe.
You know something? You need to get out my head. That's all I need to say. Get out my head.
You remember that? You remember that? Did he continue to work? Yes. Was he maybe suspended or they did something to him? We have to Google it. We have to Google it to find out exactly what happened. But he worked again. That much we know for certain. He worked again. So folks have said things against people that look like me, against Black folk. And what I'm saying is, there are people who found it offensive. Not just people who look like us, but other folks found it offensive and maybe called them on the carpet and said, "You went too far. You need to apologize." But they were permitted to work again. They survived the incident. The actor Kramer from Seinfeld, I remember he did a stand-up and he just kept using the N-word. He's a nigger. He's a nigger. He was saying all this stuff. I remember Jerry Seinfeld and other people were outraged. They definitely did not condone his statements or anything of that nature. But I think his name is Keith Richards. He worked again. Had he made those type of statements about someone in the gay or lesbian community, he wouldn't have worked again. That's true cancel culture. So to me, cancel culture begins with those in power having the financial resources to dictate what you can and cannot say about things that they hold important. And with that, I yield.
Before you say anything, City, I gotta touch on something.
Go ahead.
I agree with you completely, but I'm gonna go back to my original statement. You are right in one aspect, in the very large grand scheme of things, in the very broad, wide spectrum of things. You are beyond right. One thing that you said is that it is about the money and the power. You're right about that. But I tell you what's bigger than the money and the power: the black face and the black mouth that word comes out of when cancel culture comes into play. Because Don Imus ain't get canceled. And I'm not saying that I wanted him to be. I know also Joe Rogan didn't get canceled. And I'm not saying that I want him to be. Howard Stern didn't get canceled. And I'm not saying that I want him to be. The owner of the Clippers, he didn't get canceled. He's still rich. He might have not been might not own the team no more, but his wife do. So that means he still owns it. He didn't get canceled. The problem is the fact that it is about money and power, but it's only about when my black mouth say it. Because Kevin Hart made a gay joke a long time ago before he blew up, and they brought it back out after he sold the Garden, after he sold out the Mecca of gardens, of stadiums. They brought it back out to attack him, to say you have a problem, you homophobic. But you can go back and hear every white comedian make a gay joke and it is cool. You can hear everybody else say something about the things that get you canceled and it's cool. But when it come out of a black mouth, there is a problem. There is a problem. You know what's crazy? I'm gonna give you one better. You know when cancel culture started? And I said this earlier. When we start setting the trends, I'm gonna give you one that you probably ain't even think about. Allen Iverson walked into the league with cornrows. They told him, "You too ghetto. You too gangster." Now everybody and their mother got braids. Nobody gets a haircut. Everybody hair look like wool. Everybody hair look like cotton that ain't never been picked. They getting their hair braided this way, that way. Now it's dreads. They was canceling culture before they even started speaking about it. They only cancel the culture when we impact the culture. When we say something about what we disagree with, but you better shut your black mouth up. You lucky you in. Why Kevin Hart got to deal with somebody saying about a joke that made millions of people laugh and nobody cared? Are we really dealing with a cancel culture? Are we dealing with is what I call it, the rage against the machine? Is that what because I think that's what we're dealing with. I think we're dealing with the fact that every time one of us do something or say something or become something or start something that is promising, proactive, progressive, it's going in that direction. The trajectory looks like greatness. They're waiting. There's two shoes hanging, and they're waiting for one of them to fall off so that they can grab the other one. So, Brother Ron, I agree, but I'm not going to detach the fact that all of our tongues look the same, even though our faces don't. All of our tongues look the same, even though our faces don't. Cancel culture started with the face, the skin, the pigment, not the tongue. And no matter what you say, it matters who you are when you say it and what you are when you say it. And with that, I yield. I'm sorry, City, go ahead, do you.
No, you good, you good. That's the whole point of this, to get this all. All right, question. Why, hold on, I think I muted. No, that's not me. All right. Have to make sure. Why do you think why do you think, all right, cancel culture is basically you're shutting a person's freedom of speech down. Am I correct, right? A person says something you don't like, you're saying, hey, it's over, you can't speak like that no more. What is the purpose of, what do we get out of that? Like, what is the benefit of us canceling somebody's speech, freedom of speech?
Brother Ron, I'll let you take that.
I mean, the reality is that the folks who seek to stop that type of speech, that type of conversation, that type of communication from occurring again. That's the goal. That is the goal. They want to they're going to extinguish that. And I was just, while he was talking, I was looking, I just did a quick search on victims of cancel culture. And it's like I said earlier, there's the main victims that we keep seeing. You start attacking or saying things against certain communities, and oftentimes they're not heard of again until you come out and apologize, and then it still takes time. For instance, in this Chris Brown, Chris Brown with the Rihanna assault, he says he still has people, he still never fully recovered. Nick Cannon made some anti-Semitic remarks. He had to go and apologize and basically clarify. Guy from here in North Carolina, the baby. The baby was one of the top cats in the game. I mean, the baby was, oh man, he was blowing up. He was everywhere. He was doing everything imaginable. Hadn't heard from him since. He said something at a concert in 21. He made a statement that was deemed as homophobic. Hadn't been heard of since. The only person that I can think of who kind of went after this movement head on and survived is Dave Chappelle. When Dave Chappelle does his stand up and he made some jokes about some transgender and they tried to cancel him, he took it straight to those folks and said, we can have a discussion, but you will not summon me. We can talk. So he was eloquent enough and powerful enough to basically say, you're not going to bully me. Because to me, that's what it comes down to. It's a form of bullying as far as saying, hey, you said something I think is offensive. I don't care about the context you meant to put it in, but I'm going to end you. I'm going to end you. And like I said, the major problem that I have personally is it's the hypocrisy that we see. It's not a uniform standard wherein everybody who offends is treated the same. It always matters. And I agree with Brother Larry. I said who you offend, and what he added to it, and I tend to agree with it, is who's doing the offending. If certain people, if they're doing the offending, they're given a pass. Our ex-president, our former president, Donald Trump, he goes to great lengths to offend a lot of people on a regular basis, but he seems to get away with it. The things that he said when he was on the campaign trail, the derogatory remarks that he made about women, the things that he admitted from his past, most people would not have survived. But he not only survived, he thrived on it. And so I agree with Brother Larry. Who's doing the offending matters, and of course, who you offend also matters. And with that, I yield.
You're on mute, City. You're on mute.
There we go. All right, there we go. All right, Brother Larry, what do you think about that? What's your words on that about taking somebody's freedom of speech.
Here's
You
the
don't
thing.
do
I think
that.
we touched on this a little while ago, right? When we were talking about the definition of freedom, right? Everything come at a price. So we have an obligation, understanding where we come from, all of what our ancestors have done to get us to this point, to have a voice. There's a responsibility that comes with that. And the responsibility is, because they died for it, I got to keep it. Can allow you to take it. Here's the problem with that, though. The problem with that is that I don't even know who I'm fighting for it. I don't know who I'm fighting to keep my freedom of speech. I don't know who I'm fighting against. Because at any given moment, I'm liable to say something that, although it be subjective, someone can take it as objective and believe that it is directly pointed at them. Whether it be a class of people, a race, ethnicity, religion, lifestyle, all of those things are vital in this idea or this ideology of what freedom of speech looks like. I just want to be able to just talk. And I think that for us, we are always, and I say us meaning the Black American, we are always behind the 8 ball because we live on eggshells. We live not knowing what exactly is comfortable. We don't have a comfortable position. We don't have a degree of comfortability because everything we do and say is scrutinized, whether it be to a high degree or low. We never get to ride the fine line. Like, think about what Brother Ron just mentioned. He mentioned Donald Trump. Donald Trump said, "Let's make America great again." And the world went crazy. And we immediately knew what that meant. But guess who knew it before we did? You know who knew what it meant before we did? Exactly who he was talking to. They knew what it meant. They didn't get canceled. Make America great again, that slogan didn't get canceled. Bill Cosby is almost, and I'm exaggerating for purpose, I'm exaggerating intentionally. He's almost 100 years old. They put him in jail for something that he did or allegedly did, that we can watch every rock video right now if you YouTube it, of white rock stars doing the same thing on video to underage girls. And none of them been canceled. But he went to jail for it. They removed his degrees, his accolades, everything. Everything. And it ain't still never been proven. You can't prove something that happened 30 years ago. Where's the evidence? How can you lock a man up for something that he did 30 years ago when you're freeing men for something that you now can prove they never did 20 years ago? Do that make sense to you? Think about what I just said. You lock a man up for something he allegedly did 30 years ago that you cannot prove beyond a shadow of a doubt outside of word of mouth. That you are freeing men for something you now can disprove after they've already been locked up for 30 years. That's cancel culture. Cancel culture is not about what you say, it's about what you look like. If your black face says something out of that black mouth with them pink lips and that pink tongue that everybody walking around with that they don't like, they will cancel you. Because the goal is not to let those who don't have power gain power. For those who should be oppressed, should be held down, remain down, stay down, never rise up, that's what cancel culture is. You don't think I got a gay uncle? I got trans friends. I got friends who don't know what they are. So I can't speak freely? When I'm speaking to them, they like, Larry, I love you. Talk your talk. But then when I'm speaking in the car, so I can't have a conversation with them in the street and let somebody who walks by disagree with what I say, and now they go on to, they hear my whole name. Larry, what was his name? Larry? And then they look me up and cancel me on social media and start a whole petition. But the person that loves me, that's living that life, has no problem. But because you have a problem, you get power? How? What empowers you? We live in a country now where we don't even know what rights are. It ain't black. It ain't white. It ain't green. It's whatever is the recipe of the day. Unfortunately for us, and let me digress, I don't want to be hypocritical. There's an element in that recipe that's constant. That is us. Wherever we exist in it, wherever they can stop. So if let's just say you make spaghetti, right? I'm gonna go off and then I'm gonna get back. Let's say you make spaghetti. There's only a couple of key ingredients. You either make your spaghetti with sauce, homemade sauce, or jar sauce. You either make your noodles from scratch or you buy them out the box. You either use ground turkey or ground beef. If you fancy, you using that all-inclusive beef, turkey, pork meat. You doing all of that. But then there's the other things that come into play. You might throw a little pepper, a little salt, a little garlic. We are the constant. What can you not live without in spaghetti? The sauce. That's us. We the sauce. Nothing changes until one of us says something. The minute we say something, get rid of it. Here's the other side to it, though. We do ourselves a disservice. I like Joe Rogan. So many people came into his defense when that video came out of him saying the N-word so many times. So many of us said, he not like that. And maybe he isn't. Maybe he isn't. The problem is that when it's us that look like that, it ain't enough of them to say he ain't like that. That's the problem. Because nobody came out to say Bill Cosby ain't like that. Kevin Hart not like that. Chris Rock not like that. Nobody came out and said that. They let us sink. Because the spot that we occupy, you know how when you go to a movie theater, you sit in one seat? Picture you buying one ticket and you take up the whole first 5 rows. Can you imagine that city? Could you imagine being big enough to take up the whole first 5 rows in a movie theater and you only pay for one ticket? That's black. That's what black represent in America. We take up the first 5 rows of every stadium, every auditorium, whether we actually physically sit there or not. Because what we say out of our mouth, that's power. That's cancel culture. Say what you think you can say. And then watch somebody come out the dark and say, you wasn't supposed to say that. And with that, I yield.
Wow. Brother Say, let me say something, man, because Brother Larry...
Hold on. Before you go on, I want you to go on, but let's make sure we get these people out. Let's get this subscribe. Hit the subscribe button if you like what we talking about. Share it. Let's get this out if you enjoying this conversation. All right, now go ahead.
I'm old. You shouldn't have did that. But listen now. Listen. What Larry said was true, man. And I want to just bring back to our memory something just happened within the last couple of weeks. What Larry said is, you know, oftentimes the minute someone of color said something, then it becomes a problem. What did we just witness at the biggest event in women's basketball? You remember the LSU game? You remember what happened?
I wasn't even going to touch that.
Yeah.
LSU at the last moments, the young lady.
You can't see me talk.
Yeah, she said it. You know, she did that. She did the you know, you can't see me. And
Angel Reese, we love you, baby.
We get in the ring. Now, everybody called it classless. Not everybody, but you know, a lot of people who have platforms. They have mics. They have the ability to basically make their opinions known to millions. They went after this young lady immediately. You know, oh, what's up with the coach? No class. These ladies, you know, oh, poor sportsmanship. To me, you saw the makings of them trying to cancel this young lady. You know, they were putting her, you know, in everything negative. The fact that they were just on the greatest stage and America had witnessed, not America, the world had witnessed probably one of the greatest women's basketball games ever. You know, we had just seen it. You know, this was huge. The women's Final Four was bigger than the men's Final Four. More people watched it. Tickets were more expensive. And what they tried to do was to put all this negativity on this young lady until somebody just said, hey, wait a minute. The young lady that you're praising did the same thing 2 days ago. You know, she started it. She did it. Now, nothing away from that young lady, Caitlin Clark, played a remarkable game, great athlete, you know, probably one of the best players in the game right now. However, she didn't say anything. It was just others around. Everybody else had something to say about it. You know, and so and it was like, wait a minute, we just witnessed within a couple days the exact same thing, and she was praised as being a fearsome competitor. I mean, this girl really gives it her all. She's what we want to see. And then when the other young lady did it, it was a problem. So we have to be mindful. You know, we have to be mindful. Just think, let's just imagine, if you will, had it not been so close together, those two events. Let's suppose one that happened a few years earlier, then the narrative would have stuck. They would have continued to put all this negative energy, all these negative comments about this young lady, Miss Reese, the LSU basketball team, the coaching staff, you know, and we saw what it was. You clearly had a group of young ladies, predominantly African-American team, and they were going against a team that was predominantly white. You know, that's what we saw. And people started to put all types of things on them. And just fortunately for us, they were so close together in time that it could not be ignored. So what I'm saying is, when someone comes out and wants to cancel someone, we really need to think, what is this truly about? Is this about being offensive, or because of something that was said or done? Or is it more so about who's doing it? Which goes to your point early on, Larry. And with that, I yield.
Before you say something, City, I just want to piggyback on that real quick. So it's funny that you mentioned that, Brother Ron, because I wasn't even going to touch it. But I have to say this. At the end of the day, what you brought up is so pivotal, because what we also have failed to see, right, was that Caitlin Clark, she is amazing. Caitlin, if you ever see this, if you ever look at Brothers and Lovers, if someone ever tells you, look at this podcast, I want you to know, I speak for everybody on this podcast, you are an amazing basketball player. Amazing. And you are going to set trends and break records. The fact that Caitlin Clark said, I don't believe that the feedback and the reaction that Angel Reese is receiving is warranted. We are competitors. We are athletes. And this is a part of the game. That part was never magnified. Ever. The only thing that was consistently talked about was how unprofessional Angel Reese was. How disgusting she was. How distasteful her actions were. But the person with whom she did it to, who I'm sure has watched that video over 100 times, still came on camera and said, she doesn't deserve that. She don't deserve that. We were competing. We competed for a championship. We trying to create a legacy. We trying to become legends. We trying to get our names written in the Raptors. Talk that talk. Whatever you can do to break me, do it. Because that's what this game is about. I've been balling my whole life. I ain't never backed down from nobody talking no talk. That's supposed to inspire you. But when I heard all the things that was said about her, I was disgusted. She's unprofessional, disrespectful. The idea of sports is all about getting into the head of your opponent and breaking their psyche. Because if you know anything about athleticism, it's 10% physical and it's 90% mental. If I break you in here, I got you. It don't matter how great of an athlete you are. I say that to say, to your point, Brother Ron, it don't matter at all. And it's never gonna matter what the subject is. It's always gonna matter who's speaking on the subject. Because Caitlin Clark, in her greatness, and great you are, sweetheart, she spoke to the greatness of Angel Reese and the LSU team, taking nothing away from her Iowa team. She spoke to the greatness of it, and she said that what she is receiving is unnecessary. Because it is a competitive sport. It is built for that. And yet no one, black, white, or indifferent, reiterated that sentiment. No one reiterated that sentiment. It went all the way to the White House, to where the president's wife, would invite the loser and the winner. Racism at its best.
At a G, as like a
And
G,
with
she
that,
said, but like a G, she
and
said,
with
hey,
that,
she said, Vice President, Mrs. First Lady, I don't want to go. Let them go because they won. So we gotta do that.
I've never seen.
Yeah, of course.
The winner and the loser don't get the same trophy.
They don't.
The winner and the loser don't get the same benefit.
They don't.
So what world are we living in? I ain't seen nobody try to cancel the president's wife for what we knew was clear in trying to create a bridge between racism, because it was the all-black team versus the all-white team. Let's call it what it is, man.
It is. And Biden's in office for mostly black
Let's call it what it is, man. Let's call it what it is, man. Let's call it what it is.
But I think mentally, when folks do things like that, they're not even thinking. It's just because obviously now when they try to clean it up, she said, the spirit of competition these ladies played so well. We would love to have them both. Now, what we understand is
until Caitlin Clark said, hold on, Brother Ron, until Caitlin Clark said, I ain't coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, man, I can't do that. I can't
Why
do
you inviting me? I ain't going in as a loser. You're right, Brother Ron. Has she thought about it? What loser wants to go celebrate with the winner at the White House?
But, what we recognize, and she doesn't recognize, she being the first lady, had LSU not won the game, that same invitation would not have been extended.
Absolutely not.
And I think that's what Caitlin Clark recognizes. That's what we recognize. But I'm not taking up for first lady.
Now let's not.
But I don't think she even recognized that.
So let's not digress too far. Let's go back to the cancel culture. Let's tie it all together, right? When we talk about cancel culture, right? Ain't nobody try to cancel the culture on the president's wife about how she's trying to tie losers with winners. We don't do that. That ain't what we do. Ain't nobody try to cancel that. The president ain't said nothing. Didn't nobody really say nothing. They tried to cancel Angel Reese. She ghetto. She a hood booger. She from the streets. You know what I see? When I see struggle, I don't see color. You know why? Because I know broke people everywhere. I know struggling people that look like everybody. But what they tried to do to her being Angel Reese, let me preference Angel Reese, a champion who might really been born in the gutter. She put her heart on her sleeve. She fought for her team. And let's not fail to mention that she has a Louisiana white coach. Can we preference that? That at no point did her coach issue a response to say, that's not what we believe. That's not what we... No, she rode with that. My girl said it, I'm going to ride with that by saying nothing. Because silence is way louder than the loudest noise. In her silence, she backed that. So when I think about, and I'm going to yield, because we got 7 minutes, I'm going to give my 30 seconds now. I'm going to yield with this. When I think about cancel culture, I think about this. If you're afraid to be canceled, then you have no idea the power that God has bestowed upon you in your freedom. Your freedom was not given to you by man. Man didn't give you the right to talk. Yes, you. Yes, you. Yes, you. Yes, you. I know you. God didn't give you. God gave you the right to talk, not man. It might be written in a book, but as long as your mouth works, you talk your talk. It ain't meant to hurt nobody. It's only those who don't know you that look at what you say to deem it judgmental. But they only deem it judgmental not because they don't even agree with it, but it could be just for the recreation of a platform that they don't have, that they would like to establish. Because nothing that is said today hasn't been said before. But yet cancel culture is a big thing now.
So why nobody giving pushback to cancel culture?
You know why?
Why?
Because of what Brother Ron said. It's a duality. It's a dual effect. Nobody pushes back because if you're rich, you don't care. Right? If you broke, you don't care. You see, you can't get rich and get broke. The people who care about cancel culture are the ones who actually care. You care. I care. Brother Ron cared. Lonzo cared. Brother Hall, salute. He cared. You know why? That's what this podcast is for. Cancel culture comes into play that when you say something on this platform and you're like, yo, I said that from my heart. Why you take it like that? Nobody pushes back because you don't know who you pushing back against, because cancel culture don't have no face. There's a cowardness in cancel culture, bro.
No, I 100% agree with you. But look on the topic we're talking about. She did not get canceled because she had a backing behind. Hey, this is a game. It should not happen. Right? That's what I'm saying. Think about if more people jump in, like, hey, this person just saying what they feel.
Hold on, somebody fought it. Somebody fought it. Dave Chappelle pushed back. He didn't stop.
Okay.
He didn't stop.
You
don't like it? He made it clear on his last stand-up. He made it clear. This is my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. I don't hate. I don't dislike. I don't have a problem with. I don't have a disdain or disgust for what you choose, what you feel, what you believe, or how you live. This is simply my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
No,
and if we take that stance, the reason why most people don't take that stance, Off City, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. Because it's yours for the taking.
You see what I'm saying?
And like with that.
And we could talk about Dave Chappelle, but Dave Chappelle put himself at a level that he doesn't, cancel culture cannot affect him.
It's not true.
You don't think so?
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay.
Cancel culture will finish Dave Chappelle. You crazy?
I think he put himself out.
Let me explain something to you. You know why cancel culture can finish Dave Chappelle? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you one good reason. Dave Chappelle has a universal audience.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle is one of the comedians who has a black, white, mixed, everything. You could look in Dave Chappelle's audience.
No, yeah, 100%. But that's why I think he can't be canceled. Because he hit every.
It's the reason why
white,
you believe.
Black, Chinese, everybody.
The reason why you believe he can't be canceled is the exact reason why he can be. Because he's treading on final water. Think about this. Think about Cat Williams. Cat Williams, the majority of his audience is probably black because he talked black politics. He probably has a heavy black following. He don't care if the other people don't listen to him.
He do though.
No.
Number-wise,
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, not literally, figuratively. Like he still can maintain an audience. Dave Chappelle's his success sits on the shoulders of a global people. Kevin Hart's success sits on a global shoulder. It's no longer black.
Yeah.
It's global. So if the globe decides that we can't rock with him, he's canceled.
But see, that's the thing I'm saying, and I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, I'm gonna do race. Every white person that don't like Dave Chappelle, there's another white person to batter him. Every Chinese person that don't like Dave Chappelle, there's a Chinese person to bat for. You see what I'm saying? So it's like his reach is so long, and he has a good fan core.
Brother Ron, I'm gonna let you take this one.
That they can't get to him because of it. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead. If it makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
I hear what both of y'all are saying, but in my opinion, there's very few people who are beyond the reach of this phenomenon called cancel culture.
Okay.
And very few, and two people come to my mind, and that's because, and those who are beyond the reach, their core base is so much behind them that there's nothing that anyone else can do to disrupt that. They rely only on their core, and that's it. And they can't, and they're not going to. They can't say anything that's going to offend their core because their core is so aligned in what they're saying that everything they say lines up. I don't think Dave Chappelle is one of those people. The two people that come to mind, one black, one white, and if you think along these lines, you'll probably be able to name some more. Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Farrakhan.
Yeah.
Think about it. Farrakhan. If Farrakhan could be canceled, he would have been canceled decades ago.
Yeah.
But he cannot be because at the core, his core, the nation
You
of
went too deep
Islam.
for me right there, brother.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, because everything Farrakhan. I remember when you watch the clips when he was on Mike Douglas. He was, he's been interviewed by some of the best, and he popped what he was going to say. He's maintained. He's never apologized. He said things about the Jewish culture. He said things about all these people that most people cannot survive saying things about.
Oh, yeah.
And they cannot cancel him. You know what I'm saying? He cannot because his base. And I say the same thing about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He said what he has said, and his true base, there's so much in alignment with what he says that no matter what anybody else tries to do, this man can go to, understand, he's been charged with several felony counts. He could be convicted. Let's suppose, in theory, he could be convicted, and his base will still stand by him. They're still going to back him up. He will always be relevant, So, like I said, there are some people. Those are the two that I'm thinking of. Everybody else is kind of subject to the whims of society. Now, the great thing about Dave Chappelle, he's intelligent enough. Dave Chappelle wasn't just, when he did his stand-up, he wasn't just shooting from the hip. Dave Chappelle had thought about what he said. Those jokes that he told, he thought about them, And so that's why he was prepared to defend what he said and made it clear what his joke was about. And I remember in his stand-up, he told he talked about his friend who was transgender, and he said that person would have loved the joke. You know what I'm saying? So and he's eloquent enough to basically to respond to the negative criticism and the negative and the negative that comes his way. Some people are not. Dave Chappelle is just one of those comedic geniuses. Probably one of the best that we've seen in a very long time. So, but even in his greatness and even in his greatness and that art form, I still say he could be canceled if he went a certain way. But I just think that at his heart, he is who he is, and so that there's certain things he's not going to do. But that's my opinion. That's my 2 cents on that piece. I think most people are subject to it, except for those 2 that I named. And if you think along those lines, you'd have to think whose base is so in line with this person that no matter what they say, their base is going to still be with them, and they're significant enough to almost drown out the cancel culture. And with that, I yield.
No, you're right. You're right. Those are 2 people I do think that. I still a little bit still think Dave got a chance of that. How he because it's also how you get his money. He doesn't get, he could, you know what I mean? Like, he could do shows. He could go on his own mini tour now, and every venue he go to is going to sell out. You know what I mean? So, like I said,
there's levels to cancel culture, bro.
It is.
It ain't all the same. There's levels. There's levels. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Dave Chappelle has multiple levels that they got to bring him down from.
That's what I'm
he's
saying.
affected. I get what you're saying.
Yes. You know what I mean? Like, it's like.
Well, with Dave Chappelle, though, we've already seen that he's vulnerable, because you remember he went after was it Netflix? No, Netflix he was down with, but he went after Comedy Central, because they basically was robbing him of his money. He talked about the contract situation. Yeah. So it shows that he is vulnerable. So if he was vulnerable, and he basically appealed to the people to make Comedy Central do right by him. So,
but that also proves that he's a man of his word, and he will walk away if it's not about what he wants it to. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not about in his square what he's trying to do, he's quick to walk away from it.
But with that part though, it wasn't about him walking away. It was about the deal. And when they sold the Chappelle show, he wasn't getting paid, and he was like, "They need to pay me. They need to pay me." And the deal that I signed, it was garbage. And they weren't honorable people. So,
they wasn't. No. They wasn't honored. I think we gotta get to. I think the first or second season, whatever, he didn't get the full amount before the last season or something like that.
No. What I'm saying is when I'm talking about recently, when he went after them, is because when they were selling the rights to the show, he wasn't getting paid. And so he was basically
we're talking about everything. We're talking about DVDs.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about syndication.
And he was like, boycott
the syndication. The constant repetition of it being played. He not getting no money on.
And he said, boycott me. He was like, boycott me until they pay me. Don't watch it. And he said Netflix paid him. You know what I'm saying? For those, when it went onto that streaming platform.
Listen, not for nothing. In the grand scheme of things, City, like, is there anyone who's exempt from being affected by cancel culture? Probably not. Are the effects different? Yes. I just think that, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to wrap it up. I just think that the idea of cancel culture comes into play more so for us, because we are forever trying to establish a culture.
Yeah.
And in the establishing of a culture for us, we are going to hit many walls, but also jump many hurdles and overcome many adversities. And sometimes when the adversities that we overcome outweigh the walls we hit, somebody's going to step in and say something. And with that, I yield.
Okay. So what's your final thoughts on this, Brother Ron?
I just want to say, I'm going to leave you with this. We've talked a lot about words and things of that nature. But the one point I want to make, and it's something that I try to teach my children, your words, just like your actions, have consequences. We can never lose sight of that. What you say can have the same type of effect on your life as the things that you do. Never forget that. And with that, I yield.
Okay, yeah. Y'all know what time it is. Let's salute the day ones. Let's get into it. All right, let's salute Crosby Legal. Yes. The Life of Phoenix. Yes. A Father's Vision. Yes. Tough Stuff Production, LLC. Yes. PM Prosperity, LLC. Yes. Star City Cleaning, LLC. Yes. And I don't remember this one, but I think it's Phoenix Service LLC. Yes, 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 yes. Right? I believe it is. It's not. I didn't write it on the paper. Don't judge me. But me and my brothers hope that you enjoyed this conversation. Yeah, Phoenix Health Service. Sorry, Phoenix Health Service. There we go. See? Me and my brothers hope you enjoyed this conversation. We salute you for watching. Yes, yes. We hope you continue this conversation with your brothers. And we hope you continue this in the comments. Let's share it. Let's like it. Let's pass it around. Pass it around. We'll tune in 2 weeks when me and my brothers come back and we'll hit you with a nice, juicy conversation again. You remember you can join us and send all your questions. Type your questions in. You can call us up and all this. With that being said, y'all know my motto. Walk in love and live in your blessings. Yes, yes, yes. We out.